Good afternoon and welcome to this edition of Voxy Pop Community Town Hall. I'm your host, Brooke Ginty. If you're a living, breathing human, then you're probably aware that the primary election is coming up this November 3rd. With so much tension and confusion surrounding this year's election, we here at Voxy Pop thought we would bring you an expert on this topic in Chester County. Joining us is Commissioner Joshua Maxwell. Commissioner Maxwell is going to walk us through voting in Chester County as well as provide some inside pro tips on how to ensure your vote counts. But first, let's hear from our sponsor, Arcadia at Limerick Point.
Opening this fall, Arcadia at Limerick Point will be the premier destinations for seniors in Montgomery County. Offering independent living, supportive personal care, and the Compass Memory Care, Arcadia is here to give you the retirement and lifestyle you deserve. At Arcadia, you'll find yourself in a worry-free retirement filled with choices, wellness opportunities, friendships, an inclusive faith-based approach, and unparalleled services and amenities. Be among the first to discover all that Arcadia has to offer and reserve your apartment today.
Joining us is Commissioner Josh Maxwell. Welcome, Josh. How are you?
Hey, Brooke. How are you doing?
I am good. It's so nice to see you in the virtual world.
Oh, it's nice to be virtual, I guess.
Yes, I'm sure you're very new to this. So, there has been a lot of confusion in our headlines right now and a lot of scuttlebutt about mail-in voting. So first of all, for any of our voters in Chester County and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, let's get straight to it. Where does Pennsylvania stand with mail-in ballots?
Any Pennsylvanian can register to vote and vote by mail this election. This is the first year that Pennsylvania is a vote by mail state. Previously, we've had absentee ballots. Abilities here in Pennsylvania. Now that's been expanded to everybody, including by providing mail-in ballots to every registered voter.
Perfect. So mail-in ballots are in for Chester County in Pennsylvania. So where can the voters of Pennsylvania go? Like, what's the process to get your mail-in ballot started?
I would encourage anybody interested in voting by mail to go to votespa.com and request a mail-in ballot over the internet. If they choose, they can also download an application, mail it in, or go to voter services in Westchester and fill out an application on the spot.
Perfect. So votespa.com is our website. What kind of information do they need once they get there?
They're going to need their address that they're registered to vote at, their name, just the normal type of identification they would normally need to vote.
Perfect. Okay, so we're in this year. All right, let's walk through, once we've got our mail-in ballot, what are our next steps?
You're going to fill out the application online. You're going to get an email that says your application has been received and processed. And then voter services, your county government here in Chester County is going to mail you your ballot sometime around September 15th of this year.
Perfect. So you're making this seem really simple, Josh. Why is everybody so nervous about this? What do you think?
I think it's a first time, and you never know. Elections are important. People want to get them right. They want their votes to be counted, and they should. And so it's good to scrutinize the process, in my opinion.
Yeah. So everybody's used to showing up at polls in this election or in any other past election. And with mail-in ballots giving us this extra opportunity to get our vote count, I think it's important that we also remind everybody that there are other ways that you can still vote, right?
Yes, you can vote in person. We're going to open up almost all, certainly most of the poll locations in Chester County, just like a normal election. So it's as if in Pennsylvania we're running two elections. The normal election where you can go vote in person at your local library or fire hall, wherever your local poll is, or by voting by mail or absentee. Keep in mind, a lot of folks want to be safe with the pandemic and want to vote from the comfort of their home. So every voter has the option of both those options this year.
Perfect. What about deadlines for getting our mail-in ballot? You know, how long do we have to request it? When does it have to be in? What are the deadlines specific in Chester County for those who do want to elect to use mail-in ballots?
Right. The voter registration deadline is October 19th. The last day to apply for a mail-in ballot is going to be October 27th. And the last day to return a voted by mail ballot will be November 3rd. However, we recommend anybody who hasn't mail back their ballot within a week of Election Day. Take it to one of the 15 drop boxes we're going to have throughout Chester County, or take it directly to voter services off West Town Road in Westchester.
Okay, so we have to be registered to vote first, and I know there's a deadline for that. The next one is when we have to request the ballot, which means it would come into our house and we would receive it. Now, I know that I requested my mail-in ballot. Do you have an idea of when we can expect those to arrive at our doorstep?
We're going to mail them the middle of September. So by the 1st of October, everyone who had requested their ballot by then should have their ballot.
Okay, and then I think you said October 27th is when the latest that you can request a mail-in ballot. Is that right?
The last day to request a mail-in ballot is October 27th, but we encourage anybody interested in voting this election to request that ballot as soon as possible.
Right, yeah. I think it's important to be clear about that too. These deadlines are there. I think maybe we should think of them as strict deadlines, right? So as you said, request early and send it back in early and get it out the door and into a mailbox. Now you mentioned there's going to be some drop box locations. So do you have any idea at this point where drop box locations are going to be stationed throughout the county?
We have some idea because we did some in the primary. We did 6 in the primary. We expect to do 15 or so in the general. They'll be dispersed throughout Chester County in both rural and urban areas, places, high traffic areas like trailheads, maybe municipal buildings or libraries. But we're going to work all that out, have an announcement here in a couple of weeks.
All right, so when that announcement comes out, should we go to Votes PA or should we go to chesco.org for that information?
Chesco.org, voter services.
All right, so let's talk some pro tips. I think when I was preparing for this show with you, I really was shocked about some of the stuff that I learned. Even though I'm a pretty invested voter, I was still shocked by some of the stuff I learned from votespa.com and from our websites. And so I want you and I to kind of share some pro tips. So what would you say to voters who are nervous about this upcoming election and nervous about mail-in voting, for instance?
One, I would encourage you to ask any questions that you might have. And the best way to do that is to email voter services. They'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Their email address is ccelectionofficials@chesco.org. Also on the bottom of the screen here. You can also go to voter services, 601 West Town Road, Suite 115, Westchester, just right off of 202, and make sure your ballot's counted. And also you can check your status online at votespa.com, see where it is in the process. And this year in Chester County, we're adding unique barcodes to the envelopes. So even between it being mailed and arriving at your door, we're going to be able to track each ballot through the mail.
We're getting really fancy here in Chester County with being able to track it. But that was the thing that I noticed is you can both track your registration, track your request for mail-in ballots, and then it sounds like once you put them back in, you can track them throughout the entire process, which I think is going to help allay a lot of fear from voters who are concerned. Another note, I think, is the postage prepaid on them.
Yeah, so every ballot in Pennsylvania is going to have prepaid postage with it, so you don't have to go searching for a stamp. And also, we want to encourage people to read the instructions, especially if this is your first time sending in a mail-in ballot. There's a nice security envelope in there for you to put your ballot in and make sure you hide who you're voting for. So you don't want to share that with everyone that holds the envelope between your house and voter services. Make sure you fill in all the bubbles, sign the back of the envelope so we know, and we can make sure your ballot is accredited to you appropriately.
All right, follow instructions. I feel like we're back in high school a little bit. Fill in the bubble completely, right? Clearly and completely. Make sure you read your instructions. You can only vote for a certain amount of people.
And don't you got to do it right away.
Right. Sign the back. Make sure that we don't drop it in coffee first was something else that I read. I read in there. And I think one of the things that I was completely shocked by was that you can actually vote early by going to voter services.
Yes.
Who knew?
You can vote. You can turn your ballot as soon as you have it in your hand. If you're decided on who you're going to vote for in the election, you can fill in that ballot. You can mail it to voter services right away, or you can drop it off in Westchester. Completely up to you.
Perfect. And I think that's an important note. If you have questions or concerns, voter services is there. That's their whole point, is to vote to answer all of your questions and concerns. So I know we threw up the The email address, again, make sure we go there. I said to the head of voter services that she may not like that I'm sending everybody to her, but if you have concerns, you can also show up and ask questions or call them. Let's talk about Chester County. So what are some of the things that are going on in Chester County when it comes to this election? And how did the last election look with, voter turnouts and
Right. So we're expecting, very high turnout in this general election. I think it's one that has a lot of attention, and people are interested in voting and making sure their votes count. So we're going to ensure a safe and secure election here in Chester County. I mentioned the barcodes, so we'll be able to track ballots through the mail. We purchased what's called a ReliVote machine, $500,000 in new equipment to make sure that we are scanning ballots when they come in, so people know right away that the ballot was received by voter services and is ready to be counted on election day. We're going to set up 15 or so drop boxes so people throughout Chester County can find a way to submit their mail or absentee ballot. We're looking at setting up remote satellite offices. Not sure if that's going to be implemented yet. A couple barriers there, but similar to just taking it to Westchester, any offices we set up will be similar to just walking into voter services. We have staffed up. We're spending about $1 million in staff to make sure that this election is secure, including security, but also making sure we have enough staff to process all the applications, process all the ballots, and make sure we count them on election day as quickly as possible and as accurately as possible. In Chester County for the primary, we were one of the first to vote to finish counting the ballots. I think we were done by Friday morning, including all those, but we're going to expect a lot more ballots to be submitted for the general. So we stepped up even more, and I have complete confidence that the county voter services staff is ready to handle the workload. We just want to make sure everyone gets those ballots in as quickly as possible to make it as easy on them as possible.
Perfect. Now, I know you and I, when we had a little conversation before we popped on the show, you talked about the importance of needing poll workers. Do you want to explain what and how somebody who really wants to get involved can get involved?
This is an important year to recruit new poll workers. I don't know what your poll looks like, Brooke, but mine is staffed wonderfully by the same group of folks who have been doing it for 20, 25 years. But we have to keep in mind that there's a pandemic going on too. So we need a new generation of people to step up and work these polls. We want to have as close to 211 county polls open throughout Chester County. That's going to mean 2,300 poll workers to work those polls. So if you're interested in volunteering locally for one day to make sure your neighbors have the opportunity to vote in person, I would encourage you to contact voter services and sign up to be a poll worker.
There has been there's a lot of emotion going into this, and a lot of people who want to get off of, and really get involved. So I think that's an important note too, right? If you're young and fearless and want to get involved, like I know there's a lot of young energy, I think that's a great suggestion, is be a poll worker. And you're right, I've been staff in Phoenixville at the Civic Center for the last 4 years for every election, and I do think we need some young blood. I'm very thankful for the individuals who are there because they're there all the time, all day long, and know what they're doing. But it's time for us to get many other people involved to make sure that this is a successful election. One other final pro tip that I want to make sure we talk about is provisional ballots. This is something that I learned, which was, say you've got your mail-in ballot at the end of the day and you go to drop it off at the poll or something is wrong, you can also request a provisional ballot, right?
Right, and that kind of applies to your coffee situation that you mentioned earlier. Every once in a while, a dog will grab a ballot and chew on it, or coffee will get spilled, or something goes wrong. And so you always have the opportunity, even if you request a mail-in ballot and you don't mail it, you could walk into a poll, spoil that ballot, hand it to the poll workers there. They'll spoil the ballot and give you a provisional ballot to go there and vote. So you always have the opportunity to vote. If something happens through this process, to walk in and submit a provisional ballot and ensure that your vote is counted.
Perfect. So when in doubt, you can always provisional ballot. In some, request early, vote early, get your feet on the streets. Any one last kind of tip or trick to give to our viewers here on being successful in voting in Chester County?
I would just say, it's the first time going through this, so take a look at it, try and understand it. A lot of people are going to learn to vote by mail and then like it and learn to love it. The best way to make this easy on everyone is to request that ballot early. If you're decided on the election, go ahead and vote early, and we'll see how this goes.
All right, Josh. Thank you so much for being our expert on the ground. I know you're super busy. Thanks for all that you're doing for the county during these times as well. And thank you for taking the time to join us.
Thank you, Brooke. A pleasure to be with you.
All right, Chester County, you heard it. This is an important election, and we just want everybody to make sure we're doing it right. So if you've got questions, feel free to go to votespa.com. You can always go to chesco.org. They have a ton of information there, voter services. For mail-in ballots this year, you don't need a reason. All you need is to go online, have your name be registered, have a valid driver's ID and license number. Takes literally a minute to get done, and you're on your way to successfully voting in Chester County. So thank you very much for joining in today. Really looking forward for all of us getting engaged and involved, and thank you for taking the time. Hope everyone has a wonderful day. Be safe.